it, it's not a romance though, right? Is it? No. I don't know. It's shiny. This is also shiny. God, I'm so easy to persuade. I have this issue that I think more people can relate to, is that you have a TBR like I have here. I'm almost finished with some of these books that I'm reading currently. Which one do I want to read next? And I didn't know. And it was like the exact same feeling that you have when you have made your dinner and you're ready, you want to put on Netflix, and you just don't know what to watch. Now, they do say it's really bad to judge a book by its cover, so we're going to judge them by the first line. What's the first sentence that they put out that I'm supposed to be like, yes, that is the book we're going to read? So out of this entire stack, which isn't frankly as many physical copies as my TBR is long, I've chosen 12 books that I'm actually already very interested in and I do really want to read this year. And I have compiled them, looked up their first sentences, and we're gonna make a tier list. Now, when you look at the chart, it's just gonna be the book covers. I'm gonna read the first sentence of every book, and I'm gonna link them in a tier list. The superior thing is, we call them I Could Be a Better Boyfriend. I could be a better boyfriend than him. I have been listening to that song lately. I like it. And also, we all know that some fictional men, yeah. Then, next word, it's the all-known memes, like, take my money, alright? No book buying then will stop me from this. Not that I obviously already own the copy, it's more of a general sense of like, if I would read it, I would just want the book. Then in the middle is Go Girl, Give Us Nothing, and that may sound like something that should be a lot lower in the list. For me, it's like kind of a neutral thing, like we're explaining it as a neutral thing, because I'm not excited to read it, but I don't hate it. Like, it's giving me nothing. Then, Thank You Next. Like, you did your valiant effort. I just don't really like it. And then the last one is like, I'd rather never open you again. Like, I don't even know why I picked up this book. This first sentence is not doing it for me. That's just bad. We only have 12 books, but knowing myself, it's gonna take long enough for me to make decisions. We're gonna get started. Alright, so the first book is 1984 by George Orwell. I think this is probably one of the most well-known first sentences. It was a bright cold day in April and the clocks were striking 13. Look, does this one do it for me? It kinda does. Like, it evokes the interest, obviously, like it strikes 13. My immediate thing is, it's 1 in the afternoon. Because someone spends a lot of time in digital clocks these days. I was thinking 1, but it's still an odd enough occurrence that it does really pique my interest. I'm not saying like it's like one of the best ones that like super interests me, so I would buy the book. I would. It's a good first line, it piques interest, you want to know what's going on, you want to know what's happening. The next one on the list is The Shadow King by Mahsa Mengiste. I don't think I say her name right. I do apologize. This has been on my shelf for a year and a half, 2 years. Corona has messed up my time frame in my head, so I'm not 100%. I think it's a year and a half. I reckon. Maybe, possibly. Anyways, the first sentence is, Hedwig hears Elster shouting her name, calling for her in a voice threatening to break from strain. You know what? I do kind of like it. There's clearly a fight going on, or something terrible has happened. I would say, I'm just gonna be boring, but I would be interested in it. The next book, June by Frank Herbert. Did I buy it due to the movie? Yes. Did I buy it because Zendaya was in the movie? Possibly. No, it just honestly, the trailer seemed very interesting. I haven't seen the movie. Also, the book itself seemed slightly interesting. I have heard a lot of mixed opinions about it. The first sentence is, in the week before the departure to Atticus, When all the final scurrying about had reached a nearly unbearable frenzy, an old crone came to visit the mother of the boy, Paul. Here's the thing. It's an older book. The story's a little bit older, so I forgive them for it in the sense that it just sounds overdone. Slightly. Like, oh, and then she has like some sort, like, that's what it feels like. It feels like she's about to say, have this like prophecy for the kid and he's gonna be great or whatever. You're like, good for him. June, it does seem like an overdone one. I do recognize that it's probably an older book, so I don't know how overdone it was, but I kind of feel like, well, there's probably gonna be like a prophecy, and that's why I'm reading the book. It doesn't surprise me, so I'm like, but I don't hate it because like that's why I started reading books. So I'm gonna give a girl give us nothing, you know, like it doesn't disappoint me, but it doesn't excite me either. The next one, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. By the time Alex managed to get the blood out of her good wool coat, it was too warm to wear it. Now, I don't know exactly, because Jimmy, when I read this, initially it's like, oh, maybe it took her months, like something happened in the winter, and now it's spring, summer, and she can't get it out. Or maybe it was just a cold night, and now it's morning, and she can't get it out either. Like, I don't really know exactly what would stop warm weather for cleaning bloodstains. I'm very practical about this, but it does interest me. And I do like it. It's like the mystery thing, and like, I know I'm here for it. So, and I feel like I could be really, maybe it's the time that I just really want to read a mystery novel again. So I'm gonna say, I could be a better boyfriend, because I feel like dark academia is kind of great. Fictional men who are like, thank you. Probably also gonna be dying, but you know, you can't have all. The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin. I think I solely bought this book. Initially, I picked up this book for the cover. I'm gonna show it to you. Hold on. All sorts of reviews here, and I'm supposed to be okay with it. I'm still not okay with it. Nonetheless, it's made it to my top 12 of my TBR list. So, we're gonna look at the first sentence, which is Varia's 13. Well, good for Varia. Yeah, that's it. I'm not. There are 3 words in the first sentence. Yeah, I'd rather never open you again. It's like, I know I'm really interested. They reach the summary on the back, but otherwise I've probably never even bought it. I'll be honest. Alright, the next one, The Priory of the Orange Tree. It's a big one. I bought it solely because people on like BookTube books and like everything talked about how much they enjoyed the book. I have seen a few people who weren't a fan of it. The first sentence. The stranger came out of the sea like a water ghost, barefoot and wearing the scars of his journey. Well, I'm gonna... Look, am I a sucker for fantasy novels? Yes. Like, just... And here's the thing, this is like a sentence, it's not too long. It sets the scene, you know, like I can already imagine like some, I don't know, someone like came out like rags and like touching up on the like fantasy immediately. You know you're in a fantasy book, you know it's gonna be good. And I think in relation to like the one with June, which is like an old crone came to him and was like, oh, it's gonna be a prophecy. You don't know what's gonna happen next. I don't know what the relation is to other characters. It seems like wearing the scars of his journey. Like, what journey? Is this like this is like a throwback? Do we start with a throwback? Is this like someone who just tells you, or like, does he die in the next sentence? And does it like scar some main character? Who knows? So many options, so many ways, but it creates a scene. I immediately have an image in my head of what it looks like. And I know I'm reading a fantasy novel. This is it. This is like, this type of sentences make me want to read the book. I'm like, yeah, give me that. The next one, A Little Life. The first sentence, it's a long one, so stick with me. The 11th apartment had only one closet, but it did have a sliding door that opened onto a small balcony from which he could see a man sitting across the way, outdoors in only t-shirt and shorts, even though it was October, smoking. Again, creates a good scene. I have an idea of where they are, what it looks like. I just think that the surprise, like, I feel like this person is from the south, new in town, more northern, because anyone who lives a little bit northern part hemisphere will know people who are like, it's the middle of December, it's snowing, but I'm still in my t-shirt. So you telling me that someone is on his balcony smoking a cigarette with shorts and a shirt, and I'm like, okay, that checks out. Yeah, man, it's just sitting outside in shorts even though it was October. Honestly, not that weird. Like, I know that they're being portrayed as weird. It's not. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. So, I know, like, the fact that I have seen people's visceral reactions to A Little Life, and I'm about to put it in Go Girl Give Us Nothing, tells you enough about the fact that you really shouldn't judge a book by its first line either. But that's not the question that we're having here. Then, Norwegian Wood, which is going to be, this one is probably one of the longest one on my bookshelves, and I still haven't read a single Murakami book. So will this book definitely be read this year? For sure. I was 37 then, strapped in my seat as the huge 747 plunged through dense cloud cover on approach to Hamburg airport. Alright, it's there. I just feel not very excited to start reading the book. It's just someone who's in a plane. Okay, like, I'm gonna put in a thank you next. It's just not given, like, it doesn't appeal to me at all. Like, it's not even, like, neutral. I kind of, frankly, slightly dislike it. The next sentence, which is Just Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I know I'm not, like, by the way, realize that I'm not mentioning the writer with every book. You can find them all in the description down below. The Song of Achilles. The first sentence is, my father was a king and a son of kings. Alright. The fact that then I also know that this is based on Greek mythology, I'm like, yeah, that's not that weird. It's usually how royalty works. Generally there's lineages of kings before you. Your father, your grandfather, like, that's how it works. I'm also gonna put this one in the thank you next section, which are choices to be made. So the next one is The Cabin Inn. This is like a short story collection that I picked up when I was in Paris. I was like on a big table randomly on a stack. I read the back and I was like, you know what? That sounds super interesting. I am gonna read it. The first sentence is, it was here on this island in the West Indies that the most violent and powerful volcanic eruption of the last century occurred. I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, obviously, like, this is more for me like a Go Girl Gives Us Nothing. Because as much as I don't hate it in a sense, because it does appeal to me that there is like this big volcanic eruption. There is some, like, there's action there, something big happened. What, like, how are you related to this? Great. But it doesn't appeal to me that much. I was like, yes, this sounds super interesting. So yeah, Go Girl Give Us Nothing. Like I said, I fully recognize these are all books that I do really want to read and sound super interesting. They already made it to my top 12 of over 150 books that are on my TBR, so the chance that these will be read this year is extremely high. Then, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. The first sentence. I have just returned from a visit to my landlord, the solitary neighbor that I shall be troubled with. To be fair, I don't really know that much about Wuthering Heights. Is it? It's not a romance though, right? I don't think it is. Is it? No. I don't know. But the fact that we are setting up this fact that she is like, I really don't like my neighbor. Is it a romance? If it's a romance, take my money. If it's not, you know what? No, I'm gonna keep it. Take my money. I would read that sentence and be like, I'm interested. Let's be realistic. My reaction alone was, you hit your neighbor. So that's okay. And then we have the last book already, and it was just fine because I feel like I have been talking too much. Honeycomb. First sentence. When the 9 girls were still very young, there were no stories. Yes? Should I could be a better boyfriend or take my money? The fact that I'm doubting already means that I probably should demote it to the second tier. Because if I'm doubting, you're not gonna win it. This is it. There are 12 books. Obviously, the point of this video is for me to figure out which books I would start, which book I'd start reading right now based on the first sentence. So I'm gonna have to make a decision. Let me see. 9th house. The Purity of the Orange Tree. Obviously, one of the big questions is like, do I want to read a big novel right now or not? Not as bad. This is like, they're vastly different things, I think. But look, it's shiny. God, I'm so easy to persuade. It's also shiny. Oh, let me just read the back, then I'll make a decision. Welcome to the 9th house. The galaxy Alex Stern is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class, a dropout and a sole survivor of a horrific unsolved crime. Alex was hoping for a fresh start, but her free ride comes with a catch. She has been tasked with monitoring Yale's secret societies, notorious haunts of the rich and powerful. Now there's a dead girl on campus, and Alex is the only person willing to look deeper. Because the societies are far more sinister and extraordinary than anyone ever imagined. They tamper with forbidden magic, they raise the dead, and sometimes they prey on the living. If I can find what a king is about. The summary of the Priory of the Orange Tree. A world divided, a queendom without an heir, an ancient enemy awakens. Alright. The House of the Barethnet, whatever, has ruled. Anyways, look, if you say this differently, it's totally fine. I don't know what the official way of saying it is. You know what I mean. The House of Barethnet has ruled Innis for 1,000 years. Still unwed, King Sabran IX must conceive a daughter to protect her realm from destruction, but assassins are getting closer to her door. Eadurian is an outsider at court. Though she has risen to the position of a lady-in-waiting, she is loyal to a hidden society of mages. Ead keeps a watchful eye on Sabran, secretly protecting her with forbidden magic. Across the Dark Sea, Tane has trained to be a dragon rider since she was a child, but is forced to make a choice that could see her life unravel. Meanwhile, the divided East and West refuse to parley, and forces of chaos are rising from their sleep. I mean, look, this sounds fascinating, super interesting, but the amount of trouble I have to go to one, find a summary, and then read the fantasy names out loud. Like, look, it's fine if it's in my head, because no one cares about how I say it. I know how to pronounce most of these names. So, that leaves me with this. Because as much as we are willing to work for it, that was too much trouble. So this one it is. The next read of me is going to be 9th House Bardigo. I'll probably after that I'll read the Priority of the Orange Tree. Let's be realistic. So yeah, this is it. Tier maker from some of my TBR lists. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was a bit of just me talking and making decisions that might have angered you. If you think that this should look very different, or once you think like, wait, I love these first lines, let them know me in the comments down below. Like the video if you like content like this, just subscribe, and then I'll see you guys again next time. Until then, happy reading.